What would you do if you saw your worst nightmare unfold in just 8 minutes? A grieving father sits alone outside a police station, clutching his fallen son's folded flag, when officers approach him with tasers drawn instead of compassion. But what happens next will leave you speechless and restore your faith in justice. Drop a comment below and let us know where you're watching from. And if stories like this move you, hit that subscribe button, because every voice matters, and every story deserves to be heard. Picture this, it's 11 a.m. on what should have been just another Tuesday morning in Stonebridge. But for 73-year-old Raymond Ellis, time had stopped completely. The retired Marine sergeant sat motionless on the curb outside the local police station, his weathered hands carefully protecting a triangular folded flag, the only thing he had left of his son, Desmond. Raymond's journey to that sidewalk wasn't planned. When the devastating phone call came that morning, the one every parent fears, his world shattered instantly. His only child, Corporal Desmond Ellis, was gone. An accident. Instant, they said. No suffering, they promised. But Raymond knew better. He knew the words they use when they don't want to tell you how brutal the end really was. Unable to bear the suffocating silence of his empty house, Raymond had walked nearly 2 miles to the police station. No socks, just his old steel-toed boots with cracked soles. He carried Desmond's dog tags in one hand and that precious flag in the other, hoping someone in uniform might understand his pain. Maybe they could help him make sense of the senseless. But understanding was the last thing he would receive. Dana Qualls noticed him first. Pulling out of the grocery store across the street, she saw an elderly black man sitting alone, head twitching, mumbling to himself. To her, he looked confused and agitated. She meant well when she called 911, but sometimes good intentions pave the road to catastrophe. Within minutes, officers Chad Bannister and Lisa Rainey arrived on scene. What they saw was an old man refusing to comply with orders. What they failed to see was a father drowning in grief, holding the symbols of his son's sacrifice to his country. "Sir, everything all right here?" Bannister's voice was clipped, professional, cold. Raymond looked up with eyes rimmed red from tears. "Desmond," he whispered. "My boy Desmond, he's gone." But Bannister wasn't listening for pain, he was scanning for threats. "We need you to stand up, sir. You're making people nervous." The dog tags slipped from Raymond's trembling fingers, clattering on the pavement. As he bent slowly to retrieve them, his age and stiffness evident in every movement, Bannister saw defiance instead of disability. "I fought," Raymond whispered, still focused on his son's tags. "And so did he. We both fought for this country." "Last warning," Bannister snapped, his hand moving to his belt. "Stand up or you're going to be detained." Officer Rainey hesitated, something in her expression suggesting doubt, but she remained silent. Sometimes silence is complicity. Then came the pop of electricity. The taser hit Raymond's shoulder, spreading through his 73-year-old body like fire. The flag, Desmond's flag, flew from his lap onto the wet sidewalk as Raymond collapsed forward, his face scraping against concrete, blood darkening his cheek. In 8 minutes, a grieving father had become a criminal. A war hero had become a threat. A man seeking comfort had found only cruelty. But those 8 minutes were about to become the most expensive 8 minutes in Stonebridge police history. Lieutenant Colonel Andre Wallace and Gunnery Sergeant Melissa Park had driven from Dobbins Air Reserve Base with a sacred mission: to deliver the official death notification to Raymond Ellis with the honor and dignity every fallen Marine's family deserves. They arrived to find Raymond face down on pavement, hands cuffed behind his back, blood streaming from his face, while his son's flag lay crumpled in a puddle nearby. "What is this?" Andre barked, stepping out of his vehicle before it had fully stopped. "Sir, we're handling a situation here," Bannister replied, suddenly nervous in the presence of uniformed Marines. "That's Sergeant Ellis," Andre shouted. "We're here for him." The irony was devastating. While Raymond was being brutalized for grieving his son, the Marines were arriving to deliver that very news with the respect and ceremony it deserved. Melissa knelt beside Raymond, her voice gentle. "Sergeant Ellis, can you hear me?" "They said Desmond's gone," Raymond whispered, his voice broken. "You tossed a grieving father while he held a flag?" Melissa's voice carried the fury of every Marine who ever folded one. What happened next would expose the ugly truth about how we treat our veterans, our elderly, and our grieving. But it would also reveal the power of solidarity, the strength of community, and the unbreakable bond between those who serve. The footage went viral within hours. Not just locally, nationally. Raymond's story became a symbol of everything wrong with police militarization and racial profiling, but also everything right about standing up for justice. Veterans from across the country rallied. Social media exploded with outrage. The American Legion demanded investigations. News vans lined the streets of Stonebridge. But Raymond didn't want publicity. He wanted something far more valuable: change. When he finally faced the police chief, his words were measured but powerful. "I didn't come here for pity. I came here for respect. I lost my son, and instead of compassion, I got volts. Instead of understanding, I got handcuffs." Officer Bannister was placed on unpaid leave. Officer Rainey requested reassignment to work with veteran support groups, determined to learn from her failure to act. The department implemented new crisis response protocols. But Raymond's real victory came later, when community members helped him establish the Desmond Ellis Foundation, a place where grieving families could find support, where veterans could find shelter, where someone could sit with a flag and not be seen as a threat. Raymond's story reminds us that dignity isn't a privilege, it's a right. That grief isn't suspicious, it's human. That when we see someone in pain, our first instinct should be compassion, not confrontation. Today, there's a memorial trail in Stonebridge called Desmond Ellis Way. It's where people run now, honoring a young man who hated running but loved building. It's where Raymond sometimes sits, not as a threat to be tossed, but as a father to be honored. The flag that once lay crumpled in a puddle now rests in a place of honor. And Raymond continues to wake up each day, choosing to move forward not because the pain is gone, but because his son's memory deserves nothing less than justice. What's your take on Raymond's story? Have you ever witnessed injustice that made you speak up? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to Story Fills for more stories that matter. Because everyone deserves to be seen, heard, and treated with dignity, especially in their darkest hour.